Welcome back to the Resupply with me, Guy Next Door.
Me, DK.
And me, Than.
Bringing you your weekly double tap of all things Laserforce and Space Marines. There's three of us. Three people in the Resupply. What the shit?
Who is this interloper? I don't know that I'm a fan of this.
a fan, if you will.
Yeah. Wow, that was fucking terrible, Steve-O.
It's alright. Editing. Magic of editing. So, yeah, we got maybe a wee bit of a change going forwards, and we bring back the legend that is Mr. Thanatos himself. So, welcome back to the microphone on a regular basis, man.
Legend, I think you're overstating things a bit, but
no way.
That's cool. I can totally roll with that. Yeah, no, I definitely listening to essentially season 2 of the podcast in the lead up to last Nats. You guys didn't FOMO me into going to nationals, obviously, because I wasn't there. No, what you assholes did is you FOMO'd me into wanting to do the fucking podcast again. So thank you both very much for adding one more thing into my schedule that I now have to make sure that I account for on a semi-regular basis. So I hate both of you so much.
Famous
well,
fan.
Let's see if one of us gets fired in the near future here.
I'm gonna put my money on me. I'm gonna fire myself. You're the fuck out of here, G&D.
Yeah, you can just cut it. That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. I'll do all the fun stuff, like fucking editing. But yeah, we're back. We're back after a lengthy hiatus. Post Nats Blues has kicked in across the board, I think.
Oh, you're not lying.
Yeah. Mine. I managed to sort of push mine back a little bit from what it normally, how long it normally takes to kick in. So that was kind of nice, winning my thousands of dollars in Vegas with the baller crew.
Yeah, how did you make out total for that trip?
So what I didn't post, because I posted the winnings. What I didn't post was over the subsequent 2 days, I lost about $500. So overall, I was up.
I get you, kids.
Well, I mean, I was up. I think that put me at about $1,600 up. In Vegas, which isn't too bad.
Yeah, I mean, that covered a good chunk of your Detroit trip, at least.
Exactly right. Had I stopped, after our delicious steak dinner.
Oh, you mean like I told you to over Messenger? I am going to, give you endless amounts of shit for this now. Not too much because you only lost 500 of the 21, but I'm pretty sure I did say, hey, quit while you're ahead.
Oh, mate, you're not the only one who sent me that message. But, when in Vegas, do as Striker does and spend all the money. Striker and Al are terrible influences. If you're ever in Vegas with them, don't be in Vegas with them.
I could have told you that before you even went, man.
No, it was great. It was great. But, yeah, post Nats Blues has kicked in a big, bad way. And I didn't help the matters much with the video that I posted up of the Nats recap.
Dude, that was so legit. Like you've obviously, I mean, you've done a few video recaps over the years, and they've all been pretty fantastic.
Thank you.
They just have been. But this one, watching it, I'm just like, wow. Okay. This may. I'm feeling a twinge now because I didn't go, and I wasn't even feeling that before.
Yeah. We watching it back, like, cause the first time I watched it back, I actually got a little misty on it. So periodically, I think I've maybe watched it a dozen times once it's been posted. So yeah, I'm pretty happy how it turned out. Thank you for everyone who did some weird shit on camera with me. That's super helpful for when you're choosing footage.
Well, two things on that. Number one, I am just glad I got an answer to my burning question of the week, which is, why the hell does Steve keep punching his GoPro like that? Or he just keeps putting his hand up in front of it. I'm like, is this for checking distance? What the hell is he doing? I was like, oh, it's part of the magic of editing.
That's
so
right.
these are essentially just wipes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. If you want to get Misty, you should have done like a slow motion montage of after we finished that St. George match and getting that hug in there and set it to like the Rudy soundtrack. I'm sure that would have, brought the house down right there.
As soon as Rudy soundtrack, as it was happening, I was like, "Fuck! Give me a device! Somebody give me a device!" And the only thing I had on me was my phone, so I managed to snap a couple pics. But yeah, it would have been nice to capture that whole thing on the GoPro, but. Never mind, you love and you learn. I'm in the process of cutting a extended version of that video together because I actually left out half of the footage that I took after Nationals. So that that one I'll cut and I'll post on my YouTube account. I think because people, if they're not in it, people generally don't care. So
fair enough.
However, we're back, and we didn't get to do the recap. At Nats, because just with timings and stuff. We did. What did we do after the final day?
Well, we did go over who placed where in the tournament, but we didn't know awards and stuff like that at the time. So we did kind of a quick rundown of where teams finished, but we didn't really have time for a full recap. And I think it's probably good, honestly, that we maybe left it for a couple of weeks so that things could kind of simmer and saturate and have time to reflect and think about all the things that happened at Nats.
Yeah.
And so that the stat site would have time to, blow up.
Yeah, RIP LF stats.
No, so terrible. I mean, Russ is so pissed at DreamHost right now. It's not even funny.
Understandably.
Because it is literally their migration process that fucked us. Because he upgraded the hosting during Nats because people were smashing the shit out of the site, and it was like, okay, well, we need to do this for this and see how we go. Turned out that it didn't actually make a ton of difference because, shockingly, nobody was more shocked than Russ on this. He actually wrote his queries in a pretty efficient manner, so. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of performance degradation happening, but when the free trial on the upgrade came to an end, apparently they said, "Hey, it's $200 a month if you want to continue this hosting," and he went, "Lol, no," and hit the revert button, and somewhere in that reversion process, it went giant middle finger, and so the XML file is there that actually has all the scorecard information. So that's cool. The problem is that the actual database that tells the site how to address that information and display it is gone. So, yeah. Yeah. No,
Magic, gotcha.
Yeah, pretty much. So with any luck, by the time this podcast posts, fingers crossed, this will be a null and void point, and it'll actually be up and going again. Or
I don't know. I told Russ there might be a silver lining to this. I mean, I feel personally very emotionally distressed by this whole situation. I think a lot of other people do too, and that is something that could lead to litigation in the United States, say on the order of, I don't know, enough to get a new Sacramento laser tag site off the ground. Just saying.
Yeah, I'll back that. You have the full support of Auckland Laser Force.
Good. I'm glad that you feel equally aggrieved by this situation.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I'm not sure how much standing Kiwis have in American
life
courts for this. Well, that too.
Yeah.
No, having been following the news, we love foreigners in this country.
Oof. Yeah. Anyway, moving forward.
Yeah. So on that terrible news, at least we sort of have a record of the placings of the individual placings from this year's Nats, and I don't know, they seemed pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Like obvious, or
I don't know how obvious they were. I think they were relatively in line with our kind of quote unquote preseason rankings. I think the only real error that I would revise if I could go back is that I actually don't think there were kind of those two middle tiers where I had the 5 teams ranked below Detroit A and Brisbane. I really think that was all kind of just one tier because those 5 teams were super, super, super close.
Yeah,
and I really think it could have worked. It could have worked out differently because I think some of it may have to do with which pools different teams got put in as to why some of the teams looked to be performing better in round play versus how it shook out in the finals. But overall, I think it was pretty close on the whole.
Well, do we want to do a quick recap of who won what, and then we'll get into like maybe some of the nitty gritty, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before we even do that, I did just want to mention, since we didn't do it in a lot of detail, I think because I was kind of fried before we went to Dave and Buster's.
Yeah.
I was also fried afterward, but that was for a different reason.
Fireball DK.
Just to really congratulate Detroit A on how well they did, because it's certainly no mean feat to beat the Brisbane team. We've been talking about it for years, that it's just been kind of a con to see who's going to have their opportunity to take them down, and they finally did. It's not as though Brisbane's never been beat before, but it is a real rarity, and that was quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
There have been some teams that have come close before, but not been able to get quite over, and it looked like Detroit might be kind of stumbling there at the end, but they pulled together when it counted, and that was amazing to see.
Yeah.
That was so much talent in that finals on both sides of the match there. So just big shout out to you guys, to Scythe, Micro, Wolfman, Andy, Juan, Stu, Ghost. You guys, you got it done. You handled your business. You did. You have to beat the best to be the best, and for the next year, you guys are the best.
And they looked the best too, to be fair. Like all week they dominated. And yeah, aside from sort of like a Super Saiyan Rusty in the finals, to stretch it to to a second match, they look pretty dominating all week. So yeah, it was pretty awesome to watch, actually. Pretty awesome to ref those games too, because for the most part they were pretty clean.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that was something that, especially as the head ref for finals, I certainly appreciated that we didn't have to have some kind of lengthy discussion afterward about, oh my god, did you guys see this? In comparison to at least one previous year that I was a part of, it was a relative joy to ref finals. So.
Actually, watching those games from distance, and just having the stream and the commentary, which, sidebar, Steve-O, super happy that you guys figured out how to combine the the video commentary with the score screen. That definitely made a huge difference to the overall enjoyment of the match commentary. Because on the first couple of days, pop into the commentary on Facebook, and it's like, it didn't have any context.
Yeah.
And because it didn't have any context, it was nowhere near as entertaining as it otherwise should have been.
Right.
Once everything was combined incorrectly, suddenly it was like, oh well, aside from the obvious 15-20 second delay that was happening with the stream on the broadcast computer, that we're never going to be able to solve for. That's just the reality of it, kicking out to servers and being fed back and all that good stuff. Pretty much the only thing that I think the kind of the next step on that to really kind of cement it is it needs to not be going out via Facebook Live. That needs to be on the Twitch stream.
Yeah, so
yeah, definitely.
I think going forward, actually, just before that, thanks to whoever it was that that helped figure that the picture-in-picture. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Snuffles. I asked someone. I don't know. We stuffed around at OBS, so thanks to whoever it was that helped me out with that. Yeah, but going forward, I think that it's going to be a case of yes, it will definitely all be on stream. On Twitch, as opposed to Facebook, which will mean that it's probably going to be a little bit more inclusive, because I think at this stage, unless you were part of the tournament group, you didn't get the link. So there's,
correct.
There's that, but there's also, I think we're going to run it straight off the in-house feed. So we'll be able to sort of watch. It should mean that the commentary and the game screen sync up. So hopefully that'll help. I think Scott said in the finals, they just kind of gave up trying to commentate on the actual live. On the delayed feed, because people were just yelling and shit.
Yeah, that was accurate, because watching those, all credit to Morange and Wolfie it wasn't Wolfie, because he was actually playing that. He was actually playing this game. Morange and somebody else. It may have just been Morange. I can't remember.
It was mostly Morange.
I've slept since then.
Yeah, Wolfie was definitely on for some of the earlier casts, the ones that I went back and rewatched.
Yeah,
and the two of them,
they're so good.
They were a great duo.
I think Slade, I think he was doing the finals with Morange. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
He wasn't saying very much though.
Well, it's because the reality was that Morange was doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
He it's very unlike me to want to actually compliment people, but he was he was doing a fantastic job. You could tell that he was trying to keep everybody roped in and this, that, and the other. But there was definitely a point during the finals where he literally did just basically throw up his hands and we're just gonna commentate on what's happening in the lobby, and it's because obviously you can hear in the background when stuff is happening that hasn't happened on screen yet. So this is just how it's going to be. And at that point, it's like, okay, it makes sense. We're given how it was set up and all that. Okay, fine. But really, it's been such an interesting journey watching Nationals get slowly more and more and more and more interactive as the years have gone. If you had told me in 2004, we'll just go back to the
the good old days.
Yes,
the good old days back when Sacramento was actually good.
And half of the B team weren't born.
That too. That's also potentially accurate in some cases. If you had told me in that early 2000s time period that, hey, at some point, in the really relatively near future, as these things go, we're going to be streaming this out over the internet. People are going to be watching it from all over the world, and people are going to be, chatting to each other, directly on the stream while it's happening. People are going to be doing commentary for it. I think I would have thought you were off your fucking gourd, pretty much. Are you?
Granted, all Laserforce players. It's not like we're getting a lot of Gen Pop who are watching all over the globe.
Yes, no.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
We have it's a very niche audience. That is an accurate statement. Nobody's ever going to argue that what this is not a very targeted niche audience. But the fact that we're able now to cater to that niche audience, and for people that either couldn't go for people that wanted to go but couldn't for whatever reason, or people that just didn't go because they just didn't want to go, but they still were still interested in the games and all that. The fact that we're now able to provide that level of interactivity across everything is really, when you step back and look at it, just really fucking incredible. And so much thanks has to go out to the people that have continued to make that possible over the years. I mean, I think the original streaming thing was I'm pretty sure that was 2012 in Sacramento when Sanch paid for some service to do it,
right.
so that stuff could happen.
Was it sort of born out of like when we posted the footage from the Ballarat Nationals, right, in 2008?
2008.
Yeah. Because we had to record those because we I think we talked about it before, but yeah, we couldn't capture the game data, and we ended up posting the camcorder recordings of the game screen from out in the lobby, so you can hear people like talking shit about other people in the game recordings. Yeah,
to be fair.
That 100% happened, kids. Just in case you're wondering,
you could go back and watch those somewhere. I don't think they're on the tournament page.
So they're actually on one of my old accounts. I do have them all. I probably should, at some point, if anybody cares, actually upload them into the tournament channel.
Yeah, we could create a playlist for them or something.
Yeah, I think they did get re-uploaded to the site to the YouTube page that Brisbane was using for a little while. I think it's just called like LF Nats or something like that. They're not on the main Laserforce tournaments YouTube page.
I might have to rectify
channel, I should say. Now that we've upgraded to channel status.
Oh, that's fancy.
Yeah.
Well, so we finally ticked over 100 subscribers, so we were able to actually get a channel name instead of these super long, dumb dumbness of random stuff.
Yeah.
Although I just tried to get to it, and it's like, no, this channel doesn't exist, so I'm gonna have to troubleshoot that later.
Right.
But also with that, I mean, really, what that boils back to is the reason that we end up doing all this interactive stuff as well as this podcast is not just because we enjoy talking shit about Laserforce, although we definitely do enjoy talking shit about Laserforce a lot.
Yeah.
The fact that so many people actually apparently want to hear us talk shit about Laserforce and they want to see the tournaments live as they're happening. It's actually kind of humbling. It's like going in and actually looking at the actual YouTube stats.
Oh, bro, like even getting a feel at nationals
for all that.
Like if going to nationals and thank you to anyone that came up and were like, hey man, listen to the podcast, really enjoy it. Like that's really cool. It's really nice to know that you put out you put out musings and people are actually semi-interested, or at least need something to fill up the silence of their day. So at the very least, I'm happy happy that we can provide noise for people.
Yeah, so we're happy to cater to people's ADD. Thank you so much.
Yeah, totally happy to provide background noise for people.
When you're taking a shit or doing the dishes, listen to us on the shitter. So that's just my general thank you to everybody that listens and has basically made it so that we can push all the interactive stuff with Nats forward. Because if you people didn't kind of exactly, if you people didn't say, hey, this is really cool and we like this,
there'd be no point for us to continue to try to improve it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I mean, improve for sure. I'd probably still do it, mostly because it's nice to catch up with you guys on a semi-regular basis, and also, you know, I don't really need that much of an excuse to talk about Laserforce. Like, we do it. Like, I've said it before. We do it every week after we play. So this is the only difference here is that A, we haven't just played a game, and B, I'm able to do this shit in my underwear. So. Yeah, it's good.
Thanks for that. Visual. Yeah, thanks for that visual, Steve-O. I'm scarred for life now. Fuck you very much.
Well, joke's on you, actually. I'm not wearing any underwear.
Oh.
Yeah,
oh, God.
Welcome to the
We're back
Resupply.
To the Resupply After Dark now.
All right, well, that's enough, like, jerking each other off. Like, should we talk about, some of the individual results from the tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. So, with the individual awards that we didn't get to last time, on the stat-based awards, for the overall MVP for the tournament was Brew, or even though he didn't get to play all the days, he amassed more than enough in terms of the average MVP points to get to the top of that leaderboard, smashing his way across it heavy. Commander was Scythe, to nobody's surprise, although to a lot of people's surprise, Rusty fell down a couple of spots. Obviously, still a great player and had a great tournament, but wasn't quite the smash everybody in existence as in some other years. Heavy, obviously, was Brew, as mentioned before. Scouts, Tandor and Wolfman, I think kind of ran away with this one, although some of the other Detroit Scouts might have been close on those rankings, but I know Tandor was definitely way up ahead of a bunch of other people on the Scout rankings because he was just crushing it at that position most of the week.
Yeah.
Ammo was Shayla, a.k.a. My Little Pony, and I know she edged out Lone Soul by only a couple of tenths or maybe even hundredths of a MVP point or something like that for that award, which I know Soul was a little crushed about, but definitely good job to her and good job to Soul for coming in second there. And then Medic was not close. It was Ghost in a landslide. He absolutely ran away with the award.
Yeah, it helps when your team backs you up on the Medic one, I think. Like,
it does.
Yeah,
but he was definitely doing some work on his own. It definitely does, but he was doing some work on his own because he also, of course, took home the Medic on Medic Violence award for getting the most medic hits by an opposing medic.
Yeah.
So it's not as though he was just sitting in a corner and letting his team get the elims so he could get the extra points. He definitely was a major contributor.
Not taking anything away from him. Like, that's excellent. Like, especially when you do back it up with winning that award, like, proves that you're actually doing some shit. So, yeah. Not knocking anyone's performance.
No, a lot of the stuff that I mentioned when we did the kind of medic breakdown podcast, a lot of those things that I try to incorporate into my game were things, honestly, that I kind of learned from Ghost back in 2013 because I was like, this guy, he really takes medic to another level. So it was good to see him get some recognition for that this year. So other stats-based stuff, medic killer was Micro. Again, to kind of nobody's surprise, he was just coming up the bottom of people's ramps and just annihilating their resupplies and then letting Josh get in and just kick them all over the place. Golden gun for highest accuracy was Sanch, that he definitely earned. He was well over 90% most of the tournament, even
so
when he was
funny.
playing Scout.
I was reffing a couple of his games, and he was counting out how many hits in a row that he was getting. It was so funny to watch. He's just like, 10, 11, 12. Oh my God, get out of the way! Yeah, it was pretty fucking funny.
I adore your American accent there, Steve.
Nailed it. It was. I was channeling Beans, so I picked the wrong Syracuse player.
Close enough. Yeah. You know those Syracuse guys, they all sound the same.
That's right. Loud.
And then, and Melted Gun, also to nobody's surprise, was Mr. Spammo himself, Fredo. At least a couple of times, I know when I was coming in to attack their resupply from the top, and Stryker called me. I was like, hey, DK's coming in, and I just see the top of Green Ramp just constantly getting spammed with a red dot hitting the wall. So I was like trying to figure out, should I go high or low to try to figure out where Fredo's shooting from. But I was like, well, definitely know Fredo knows I'm coming because there's a bunch of shots going at the wall right now.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yep. So then we had the voted awards as well. overall voted MVP was Micro, also well deserved. I think there were a lot of candidates who could have made a case for this. Micro, Scythe, Rusty, Brew, I think all of them could have made a solid case for this award as well. And I would also shout out some players like Jerbear and Beans, who, even though they weren't in the top 2 finishers, were definitely very instrumental to their team's success as well.
Yeah.
Commander and Heavy and the Scouts, actually, all of those positions were all the same award winners: Scythe, Brew, Tandor, Wolfman. The only difference that we had from the voted awards versus the stat-based awards was for ammo, where Sacramento's own Dude Broman ended up taking home the vote. So good job to you, Tom. I'm glad at least somebody from Sacramento got something.
Mustache.
Yeah, I mean, side note on that, I had felt like I had a really good week. Probably, honestly, my best tournament I think that I've played as a heavy. I felt like I was doing pretty well. It's like, well, I know I can't get the points-based MVP, but maybe I could at least have a shot at the votes. I have no idea what the votes were, but looking back on the stats, I'm like, yeah, I really don't have a case to make over Brew and Micro. They absolutely smashed all of this heavy. So I did very well by my standards, but on absolute standards, they had me dead to rights. So certainly they were very well deserving to get their awards. Rookie of the Year was Tryharder, Terrell from Detroit B. Again, a very well-deserved award. I think that there were definitely a number of players who I think could have made a good case for this one. My top 3 anyway was Terrell, who ended up winning, so definitely happy for him. Also, Snuffles from St. George, I think, had an amazing tournament. And then I think there was some consternation as to whether or not he counted as a rookie, but Phantom on Loveland B definitely impressed a lot of people over the week as well. So good job to all the rookies, but especially to Terrell. Man, you definitely deserved it.
Yeah.
You were a beast and a force to try to get past all week.
Yeah, he played awesome, and it sort of crept up on me how good he actually was on the week. I think by sort of midweek, I was like, oh, actually, this guy's really good. He's killing it.
I think because he has that style, it's kind of like Thunder, where it seems kind of nonchalant at first, where it's not like he's going in just guns blazing constantly, but it's just so solid and consistent and so annoying to try to break through that it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, no, he was really impressive. It was really good to see.
Mm-hmm. And then sportsmanship, also to nobody's surprise, was Ace Knight from St. George. So
shocking.
Yeah, I had a little note on this, but we can get to that later. But definitely well deserved. Ace is definitely very popular with the tournament base and also with the local wait staff in Detroit.
Are you gonna tell that?
So I guess for that alone, maybe some of the staff from Dooley's came over and stuffed the ballot box so that Ace could win that award. But if so, you know what? Good on you, buddy.
Elaborate. You might as well elaborate. You're alluding to it. Tell the story.
Well, I think we did cover this in a previous podcast. But one of the other nights that we had our social outing at Dooley's, which is a pub not too far from the center. Over the course of the night, Ace had imbibed a number of drinks, but was also being very helpful and helping the waitstaff to clear plates and glasses and trays and all that from the table, even taking them back to the kitchen, and nobody really seemed to give it a second thought, and they were very happy to let him continue doing that.
Yeah. I think he got he made tips, and I think he got to eat and drink for free that night, so
not surprised.
It's pretty fucking funny.
I will just say that the practices for a number of things at Dooley's were a little casual and fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
They were not too particular about verifying people's age. I'll just say that.
Man, it's too hard.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? It's Detroit, man.
It's Detroit. Who cares?
And then a couple other miscellaneous awards that were given out. One that we have had in the past, the Diffuser Award for most nukes canceled, went out to Juan, Super Mario Brothers. So good job on him for that. Not a ton of nukes canceled during the tournament, although there were a couple of key ones during finals when I know Rusty found himself on the bad end of a couple of nuke cancels, I think.
Wow. So yeah, watching those happen stream-wise was just absolutely devastating. Like, So he had I think it was 3 of them canceled during finals at various times. One of them he was out of shots and it was towards the end of the game, so no big deal.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
The other 2, based on when they were, based on how the game was flowing at that moment, quite literally, I am convinced that if both those go off, Brisbane wins those games.
Yeah, so
like that is how knife-edged those games were and how critical and clutch those cancels were. It was unreal.
What games did they happen in? Was it in the second match?
I think there was one in each of the 2 finals matches.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
one in the what turned out to be the semifinal.
Yeah.
Could have been the grand final, but ended up being the semifinal and then one in the grand final.
Right. Crazy.
Yeah, it was unfortunately without the stats site to actually go in and be able to double check that. I'm trying to go off my memory.
We had some kind of documentation of when these things happened.
That'll be something we work on going forward, maybe.
Yeah, so I don't think that award counted for finals because I don't know who got those cancels. I think Micro got at least one of them.
Sure.
Micro got the one when Brent was out of shots.
Okay.
On the other 2, I think Micro got one of them and Juan got the other one. And Juan's, if I remember correctly, it was just this clean 3-shot deac that he didn't trade. He 3-shot deac'd. And it was like, wait a minute, that's gonna swing things.
Hey, that is what Juan does, man. That he was a force to be reckoned with. So I know he didn't win an award for All-Star Scout, but he's still an All-Star in my mind.
Hell
man.
yeah, he played awesome.
He was crushing it.
Yeah.
So the other fun awards, we already talked about. The Medic on Medic Violence award went to Ghost. Missile Bait, Sanchez now surrendered his trophy, although he definitely surrendered it to Hoodlum last year. That was for damn sure. And this year the lucky winner was Izzy from Loveland B, who I'm pretty sure I think I missiled like 7 times in the course of our 2 games that we played with them. It was more than a couple.
Yeah.
And then the crowning achievement, the negative 24K award for most penalties directed in the tournament, was Spooky.
Poor guy.
Which I mentioned on a previous podcast. Yeah, poor Spooky. I felt kind of bad for him because, I mean, people were kind of giving him crap for the penalties, this and that. I think there was real improvement in his play over the week, though, and was definitely a lot cleaner toward the end of the tournament than it had been previously.
There's just a couple like round the corner, like a couple of reflexes, I guess, like coming up and over, or just that leading with the gun style of play. So if he can manage to clean that up.
And some of those angles in Detroit are so hard to police and to ref because there are just so many windows and diagonal cutouts that you need to watch.
Yeah.
So sometimes things just kind of happen, but it was all in good fun. And again, we'll detail this more on the penalty front, but those were the individual awards that were given out. So good job to all the award winners. A little sad not to win anything this year, but hey, I'm happy for everybody else.
Yeah.
Next time, I guess we'll just have to play better. That's how you win awards, I guess.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's exactly right. Or, sportsmanship. Get sportsmanship award. Everyone just be super nice.
I need to help out more with the wait staff, man.
Yeah. I felt that I wouldn't have tipped you at all this whole tournament. So, step your game up.
Clearly. All right.
So, I'm actually, by the time this launches, there'll be a video uploaded of the awards dinner. So if you want to go back and watch watch the many speeches unfold from that evening, it'll be up on the tournament YouTube page, so you can go back through and rewatch that if you're so inclined.
That was my other note for that. It was very nice that Jesse was able to pass the mic to anybody who wanted to talk, but Next year, I think we can do probably without so much mic passing. I think people just kind of wanted to get their conversations and their drink on once we had handed out the awards.
I mean, to be fair, I was watching it, and the cheers for people wanting the speeches to be over were coming from the back of the room anyway. So like, there's plenty of opportunity for you to just kind of ignore what's happening if you're uninterested. So yeah.
Well, those rude people in the back of the room. Tom, looking at you.
Fucking tall jerks. But yeah, if you guys want to go back and watch that, and watch, the live version of the Resupply, I think there's a brief one on there too. So.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, there was. But yeah, so. That sort of takes care of the awards side of things.
Yeah, so I think next thing that I at least wanted to mention was this was also something we dealt with at the awards dinner, but I think it's worth putting in now is just a kind of quick list of thank yous to other people who were instrumental for this. And the top and number one thank you that I wanted to give out was to really the person I think deserves most of the credit for making this happen, who's Beans.
Yeah.
Beans, who I think... He certainly wasn't overlooked during the week, but he did so much behind the scenes stuff that it would be hard for people to know everything that happened. Because most of the stuff with the streaming, with the schedule, the way it was put together, the social outings, almost all of that was either done by Beans by himself or was at least spearheaded and aided along by him. So everybody who had a good time in the tournament, definitely thank Beans when you get a chance, because he did absolutely fantastic
so
getting all that stuff together. He was definitely the kind of shadow tournament coordinator for all that on the actual kind of running of the tournament front. I don't want to take anything away from Jesse. Jesse did great in terms of organizing for the site, of getting things clear with Kevin, getting things moving on a day-to-day basis. He got the shirts all printed. He got the Dave and Buster stuff set up. So he definitely deserves a lot of credit for that. But on the actual kind of like tournament organization front, Beans absolutely knocked out of the park this year, and I have so much respect and admiration for the job that he did.
Yeah, it was. I second. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, it's when you've done the job, like actually, both of you have, and you see somebody else do it well, you understand the level to which the behind the scenes stuff happened in order for everything else to go smoothly. So, I mean, it's nice for having, for once having had like no part in anything with a tournament, which is very strange for me.
Yeah.
It was definitely nice. Like, oh, sweet, Beans like stepped up and did all this. Yeah, just absolutely killed it. So that makes me super happy. It's like, cool, I can continue to not do things because I've done things for way too many years for this, and DK, you've done things for way too many years for this, and Steve-O, you've done things for way too many years for this.
I don't know. Mine's just beginning.
So
yeah, I mean, but serious though, like Beans would bounce ideas off of me and other people in the tournament committee for different things, but really when it came to putting together the schedule and the whole idea for the pool play and intermixing the brackets, that really was all him. So I just give him a ton of credit for that.
Seconded.
Yeah. So that was definitely somebody I want to thank. And I mean, again, mention Jesse for the kind of site organizing type side of things. That's also a really important job. Big thanks, of course, to Russ for everything with the stats. RIP LF stats, at least for right now. But it was definitely great to have at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we got that all sorted.
We should bring those days back.
Problem during the week.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people were sort of, looking at stats on a daily. I mean, we certainly were when we recorded the podcasts.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wanted to also shout out Traj Peter for being the head ref and organizing all the kind of deputy refs during the tournament, and for really spearheading the kind of new ref system that we worked out and doing a lot of the legwork for ironing out some of the kinks in that, during the Brisbane season, and then during Nats, because that was on my list of highlights for the week that I'll get to. But huge debt of gratitude to him for that. I was happy to help out as kind of the head ref for finals, so he could actually go and play in the finals. But throughout pretty much the rest of the week, he was instrumental in getting all the refs organized and assigning the deputy refs and all that. So that was really helpful. Obviously, I mean, we already talked about the great job that Morange and Wolfman and a variety of other commentators did on there, but that really was amazing to see, and I'm super stoked about that going forward. So I know that Scott, you ran out of voice kind of toward the end there, but we appreciated the pain that you went through to bring us that kind of commentary.
It was so good. It was so good to like see. I would say professionalism that him and Wolfman like brought to the mic. Like they just they did such a good job. It was awesome, and they like I don't know that a lot of people like were very grateful that they were able to do that all week. So yeah, we appreciate it.
And it's such a hard job too. I mean, I hung out on the live stream for a little bit and was trying to comment on some of the things going on. But to sit there and just do it for hours continuously to try to bring up all the little things that are happening in the game, it's such a hard job.
Yeah.
And is it true that he's done like some commentating for rugby games or something like that?
So
back in New Zealand?
Nah, Morange just watches a lot of sport. He's an avid soccer fan, and so is used to kind of English football commentators. But Wolfman actually has called a few wrestling matches in his time, so the two of them were able to kind of bounce off each other really well, and they had a really good dynamic. So
they did great
for at least the time that I was kind of hanging around. Neither one of them, like Morange, kind of took that head commentator role, but was able to bring Wolfman into the conversation, which is kind of really important. Like,
I think that's true for a lot of duos, though. You need kind of the person who's handling the technical side, and then sort of the color commentary person who's on there as well. But they made a great a great duo. And like I said, I got to rewatch on Friday morning the commentary that they'd done on that key match that we played against St. George the night before.
Yeah.
And it was a very immersive experience. It really felt like I got to relive the whole thing.
That's
so that
cool.
was great.
Yeah.
And then also, I mean, big thanks to you, man, for doing the podcast, for getting this whole thing organized and getting that sick tourney video, because I know cutting these podcasts when you've already had a long day is not always the easiest thing.
Look,
so
the only one that was
letting us do this kind of stuff.
It's all good. Like I said, I'd probably do it like even if nobody watched. But yeah, like the only I try and push the daily podcast while we're there, and this year it just wasn't feasible. I had some health issues. I ended up in hospital on one of the days, so we couldn't record that day.
Yeah.
And the other one, Fireball DK emerged and wasn't having a bar of it. So, but yeah, the only one that was a drama to do was on the Friday, because it took so long to cut and upload, and it meant that my team had to sacrifice some of their Dave and Buster's, evening. So I appreciate the patience, boys. In hindsight, I would have cut and posted it the next day. It could have waited, but shit happens.
Yeah, probably. But oh well.
We should have recorded it live at Dave and Buster's. That would have been cool.
It would have been different, I'll give you that. Since I was, maybe plied is too strong of a word, but definitely encouraged to imbibe pretty much the second that we walked in the door. So yeah, that could have been an interesting experience.
I'm shocked that people wanted Fireball DK to make an appearance.
Oh, and he did.
Oh no, the total horror and surprise in my voice. Can't you tell?
Give the people what they want, man.
That's right. Well, again, Fireball DK and I did record a brief podcast during my epic awards dinner speech. So
yeah, I think that was the alternative. That was the Drunk with Power podcast.
Yeah, which is some of our best work, to be fair. Yeah, no, my pleasure. Appreciate it. Appreciate your backing me up and going forward, Mr. Than back on the mic, so it'll be another good longer build up to next year's Nats, because I think now we took 5 months off, I think, between Nats.
Last time, yeah, there was
maybe we don't need quite that long this time.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we may not need to do it weekly at the moment, maybe, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how other things develop within the Laserforce community space. I mean, there may be other things out there that we have to discuss a little more frequently.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, there is supposed to be a West Coast coming up in St. George, dates of which are still to be continued. Although I really do genuinely think it's going to be in November as opposed to October or February. I'm sorry, DK, I realize that screws you, but I'm pretty
November
sure it's
might be easier than October, but anything that's not school holidays is always really going to be dicey with me.
Yeah, but. So and once that's all kind of in place, then I know Beans wanted to get an ECT set up just so the dates weren't completely on top of each other, since there are people that do like to try to get to both, even though wasn't what it was originally intended for, but people.
But it turns out people like laser tag and they want to play more of it.
It's especially people that don't have sites or have been moved away from sites for years and years and have decided, well, maybe they should play before they show up in Auckland next year, so it's not 2 years since they've played.
Yeah.
Just as an example.
Purely hypothetically, of course.
Yeah, it's
purely hypothetical.
Couldn't think of a single person off the top of my head. All right, cool. Well, so that kind of that's probably a good place to leave this week. We'll jump back on the mic for next week and talk about our individual experiences with nationals, and maybe.
Oh yeah, we're not done. I got more thoughts, kids.
Maybe talk a little bit about how the 0 point penalty stuff went, because that was something interesting and new that's happened. But for this week, I've been Guy Next Door.
I've been DK.
And I've been Than.
Always remember to backtrack, kids. We will see you next week.